So we got a case study here, right? Client is seeing some like smoke coming out of the muffler excessively, right? And also you're seeing like oil mixing in the coolant bottle. Also, when she folded up to the max, you're seeing that the reservoir is dropping, right? When I open the oil fill cover, that's what you're seeing, right? Give you a look at it, right? So we have some, look like we have some coolant mixing with the in the engine oil. It could be a small head gasket leak, right? So let's try to start this vehicle and see what symptoms that we get. So I'm doing a hard start. Again. Right, so what we have here is a head gasket issue where coolant is being lost through the exhaust, right? Customer just have to keep topping up the coolant like at least every twice, 3 times for the week, right? What issue they also having is again hard start and a misfire and a lot of white smoke. It smells like sweetish white smoke coming out of the tailpipe, right? So what you see me have here is my pressure pulse hooked up to the coolant bottle. I'm a relative compression set up on my arm clamp on the negative battery, and I have a trigger on number 1 cylinder with my coil pickup, right? So what I'm gonna do is get the capture, and I'll let you know what happens after that. Most likely it's a head gasket issue, and we either replace this engine or either build it. I'll leave it up to the client discretion. Right, so the blue waveform is the relative compression. That's the arm clamp hooked on to the battery negative, and the green one is the coolant bottle capture. That's the pressure sensor, and the red one is my trigger of number 1. Right, if you notice now, the firing order is 1, 3, 4, 2. So I just want to see where the coolant is going to, if it's going through the intake valve, if it's going through the exhaust valve, or just compression leaking into the cylinder. What I was getting on the scan tool also, it told me that I had low vacuum at times on the when I'm idling. So as I said, I'm just here testing and trying to narrow down to see where it's going. I already know this head have to change or the engine have to be replaced. So I'm just, as I said, man, I'm just playing around a little bit. So as I said, man, I'm just playing around a little bit to see if I could determine when this coolant's leaking. Right, so I end up pulling the spark plugs, and I see number 2 and number 3 spark plugs is very wet. Right, so that means they, as I said, they're following up, so that could contribute to the hard start. Right, so we're going to use a borescope, and we're going to go down the cylinders and see what we discovered. This is number 1 right here. Alright, so we did made the decision to pull the engine. So I'm just, as I said, I just pull the plug to see what I'm seeing down here. This is number 2, right? You see how it's kind of like clean, right? That means the cylinder's being washed. I'm going on number 3 right now, and let's see what I'm getting. Right, so on top of that, you're seeing wet, like a wet greenish like carbon, but it's also green in color. Right, so what that is the coolant was leaking into the piston cylinder area, and basically so that will contribute to the hard start. Right, as I said, the engine was replaced. The customer made the decision, and I'm just here, just playing around a little bit, trying to see if I can find something out the norm. As I said, man, this is how we get better. We test, we troubleshoot things, and we come to a decision. So when we tell the client like it is, they appreciate the work that we bring forth. Alright, so this is number 1 cylinder that we checking out with the borescope. This is number 2. right? You see how it looking, wet. This is number three. So like number three was really crazy where all the coolant you see in the greenish color. And this is number four. Number one and number four is really dry. When we open the cover by the PCV valve, this is what we saw, right? We saw a lot of oil mixing with the coolant, right? When we drain the oil, also we found this, right? Coolant mixing also, and when we pull the exhaust, you saw that how it's wet around that area. So as I said before, I'll pull the engine and hook up my scan tool to see, if I could get any kind of additional
Bank 1
information
fuel
before I make my
trim.
call.
Correction
But
good.
as I said, I was getting like
Engine
minus negative
vacuum
fuel trim, and I
low.
was also getting low vacuum. And normally, that's a indication that you have something where vacuum is leaking out the cylinder, or if it have fuel that's being unburned in the
Engine
engine somehow.
vacuum
But as I said,
good.
it was just showing you how I test things, how I come narrow things down. Um, as I said, like, subscribe, appreciate all the help, comment, good or bad, and thanks for watching.